Good morning. Good morning. No. Interesting. I can see why I gotta fix this from yesterday then. That makes sense. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Love Morning. I am John Halcyon. This is Love Morning. This is a daily practice of gratitude. What's going on here? And connection. And it is such a treat to be here with you today. If you're here, say hello so we can feel you and others around the world can know that we are not alone, that we are surrounded by like-minded, open-hearted. Could be open-handed, but open-hearted is what I was going to say. Like-minded, open-hearted people. Good morning, Jason. Great morning to you. I'm in San Diego, California, specifically Solana Beach, where you can see the gorgeous ocean beside me, behind me, around me, within me. Good morning, Razorblade. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I am still in a decompression mode from the fabulous Burning Man experience. The Burning Man Temporary City, the Black Rock City gathering in the Nevada desert. I have recently woken. I am 3/4 through a cup of actually caffeinated coffee. And I am excited to share gratitude and hear gratitude from you. I'm grateful, top of the list, that my hemorrhoid doesn't hurt as much as it did a couple days ago. You know what? Go ahead and pick out your favorite Hallmark card that has that sentiment, because congrats on your hemorrhoid healing is top of my list. Good morning, Steve. Good morning. I'm not healed. I'm just healing. When I returned from the burn, it was almost like I got kicked in the ass. Like I just had a feeling like a bruise around my butt. Just felt like I was very sensitive. Not the burning itching that I learned from the commercials. That's not. It felt like someone had penetrated me in my sleep, and I woke to a soreness, as if a pickaxe had penetrated me. Does this sound like a gratitude list to you? Woo! I'm so glad my rectum does not feel like it was wrecked by a pickaxe. Woo! Hey, if that's where you start the list, that's where you start the list. Gratitude is what gratitude is. I am grateful for modern day access to so many rectal tools, like damp toilets, like bidets. Whew! I should have written that this was a Sphincter themed gratitude morning. And you know what? I didn't even start with a song, and now I have so many terrible ideas in my head. But when we start a song about the things that we're grateful for, it can be things you find in your rooms or on your floor. It can be about the ways that your butt is feeling better, about you've got things to wipe that are not just dry, sometimes wetter. Because gratitude's a way that we lift our attitude. Gratitude's a way that we feel so gratitude. Gratitude's a way we share on this love morning. Good morning. Woo! Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Juan. Great to see you. Great to see you here. Hope you are feeling good, decompressing. Good morning, Michael. Michael says, I am grateful for the mug gifted to me by Kerosene Camp that I just found while unpacking. Isn't it? I have a that is something that I still actually need to go through. I have a kind of a little stash area in the RV where I put stickers and gifts that I didn't have. I didn't have it in me to go through yet, so I still have that experience. In fact, I'm doing the integration group, and that will be one of the exercises that we do. Thanks for the reminder, which is to kind of go look through your gifts, have a snap back to all those moments of connection and gifting that we had. So thank you for that reminder. In fact, probably just a heads up, I will probably be doing and speaking about decompression during this morning broadcast, and inviting people who are doing the integration to join us here. So, yes, why don't we say, although I'm not going to be able to get to, well, it'll be something to do in the next few days. So heads up, if you, to gather your gifts, gather your scraps of paper, necklaces, memories of experiences that were gifts, and just to start to make a little inventory that we will start sharing in coming days. And if you did not go to Burning Man, you can think about it's a more difficult to make the list because it's so overt at Burning Man, but you can start to think of what are ways that you have received gifts from people over the last couple of weeks. Maybe someone came and visited you. Maybe someone picked up the check. Maybe someone called when they got they saw something at the store and it made them think about you. Anything that could be a gift. Just start keeping that inventory though, so we can share to one another. Good morning, Primegeist. Sorry to inflict upon you my unique gratitude this morning. Although gratitude is not just puppy dogs and rainbows. Gratitude is just focusing on the good. An upturn in an ailment can be a beautiful thing to be grateful for. I know for me, especially if I'm focusing or fixating, if I'm in a state of constant awareness of an ailment, like when my shoulder and neck from my shoulder pain from my neck nerve stuff, when that is at when I'm just aware of that, even if it's not solely painful, that really can affect things. So if I can be grateful when I'm not feeling that, like right now, I do not feel my shoulder. That is, for me, that is the impact of that gratitude is huge. Because I don't want it to be out of sight, out of mind. I don't want to just forget that I have a jacked disc area of my neck. I want to remember that at any moment, if I am not vigilant and I don't have good posture and I don't ice and do all the things, it could be painful. Because when it's tapping me with awareness, it clouds so much of my world. So when I feel nothing is a perfect time for me to be like, oh, I am so grateful that I'm not feeling my nerve issues right now. Because that incentivizes me to do the physical therapy, to be grateful. Being grateful for non-pain is the best. In fact, one of the great gifts of pain is to have gratitude for baseline nothing. Like, oh my gosh, today is such a good day. Why? Well, because, oh my gosh, it is, this day is incredible. My hemorrhoid, I can't even feel it right now. I can't even feel my hemorrhoid. And I'm, if you would ask me this morning, how's your nerve pain? I would have said, what nerve pain? Woohoo! You can go to Disneyland all you want. I am celebrating this day of what would be the word? I'm celebrating non-awareness of my body's decay. Mm. Good morning, Michael. Michael says, I finally made it to the live stream. The song Holocene made me think of you. My dad's funeral's tomorrow, but I'm grateful to be surrounded by loving friends and family. Thank you for sharing this time with us and for that reminder of all the ways that gratitude can be a part of the tough times about life. Not as a wiping clean of grief, but as a sometimes an anchor of grief, sometimes there's so many experiences at the Burning Man Temple that are, to me, I feel like these celebrations of grief, these reminders of how grief is intimately tied to love. And, it's that to have loved and lost, that's the experience of grief. And at least intellectually, I think we all know it's better to have loved and lost. And actually, it's not a lost. It's a lost of the physical form, or lost of the relationship in the way that it once was. But the loss, because of its impact on you, and because of the retaining of that person and who you are, means that grief is also a reminder of so much love and transformation and change. It's the remainder of the gifts of that person. I should note that I have been really emotional since returning from Burning Man. I am crying a half dozen times a day, at least. I have a number of theories on why that is that I'm not going to get into right now, but I will say that I'm not in an urgency to change it, because I like it. I'm so glad that I am not living in a way or in a place or with a partner where I feel embarrassed, because it's really a beautiful feeling to be watching TV, and as the music changes and just the timing of the dialogue, sometimes I just like, I had a dream last night right before waking of taking my grandfather on a train trip, and he was not in good shape. I don't remember ever spending time with him in a state like he was in the dream. And somehow it was also linked, like we were going someplace and we were going to be giving away buttons in the same way that I gifted buttons at Burning Man. I think we were going to gift the same buttons. We were going to go to some event and he and I were going to give away buttons. But I woke up and there was this moment where I couldn't remember if I was sad because he was dying, or if I was sad because he was dead and gone. And it was kind of a beautiful grief feeling as the dream world, this reality kind of settled. I've also been having very, very bizarre dream experiences since the burn, where reality and dream have been super confusing. I've been having the first 3 nights ago, I was lucid dreaming all night long. kept having this repetitive dream things happening. And I knew I was dreaming, and I had control over the dream. We were on like this lift, like a ski lift kind of thing. And I just said, let's just jump off. Let's experience the fall. But like, what are you talking about? I'm like, it's going to be fine. Because I knew I was dreaming. And we jumped off, and the fall was visceral. I was like, whoa, this is so awesome. And then I pulled out of it and flew at the end. And so there was this really like lots of awareness that I'm dreaming. Not like full control. Like I knew I was dreaming. And so there was this awareness that the reality wasn't my awakening reality. But then it got really scary at times. Not like horror movie scary, but like there were things that like there was like a zombie element that followed me into the next night where people were just like slowly coming after me. Like I had total control over them, and I could knock them down, and sometimes I could even like forcefully knock them away. But it was dark. Everything was dark, and I'm like, can we turn on the light? And it started to be like, I'm like, I really don't like this. I really don't like this. And so I had a couple times where I woke up, and then I was experiencing this thinking about the dreams I was having. In fact, there was sometimes when I couldn't wake up, and I had one where I was waking up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going on? I'm like shaking my leg. I'm like, I can't feel my leg. And then I could feel my leg, and I was holding the pillow. I'm like, oh my God, I'm still dreaming. Wake up. But I know it's weird to hear about other people talking about dreams. But there was a point when I woke up from the dream. I talked to Lisa about this, everything I was just talking about you with, these dreams. And we're in bed. It was dark. And then I got up from bed, walked into the kitchen area, walked into our living room, and realized, wait a minute, I'm not awake. And I'm in the house. I just talked to Lisa. I was experiencing the present day moment in my house, but I'm dreaming. And I'm trying to get back into the bedroom, and I'm touching doors that I can't see. So I can see my house, but I'm opening doors and pushing on things that are in a different reality than what I'm experiencing in the dream. And eventually wake up to realize I'm still lying down. I'd never gotten up. I was never in the other room. I'd never talked to Lisa. It was a total inception thing, like 3 levels of waking up and then having experience and then going, foo, 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 foo. It was unsettling. Lisa's like noticing the cool aspects of it. Like, can you train yourself to do this? Like, whew. I mean, I definitely have lucid moments somewhat often, but I don't have the kind of control that people talk about where like, oh, I could just go fly. Like, in fact, if I think I should fly and I try to fly, I almost always wake up immediately. Anyway, enough about how distorted reality is since I've been back from the Burning Man. Good morning, Brent. Good morning, Alex. So good to see you here. Good morning, Jennifer. Razorwood says, I'm grateful for a sleep in tomorrow as I fly out in the evening for work. You do a lot of travel. That's got to be hard on you. Natasha says, I'm grateful to have survived 10 years of single parenthood and to now be entering the next decade of my kid's life in partnership with someone amazing. What a deep and hearty and rippling gratitude that is. Thank you for sharing that. Natasha says, low pain days are glorious, right? And it's like, it's so easy to not think of it as a low pain day, but just think of it as a day. But what I'm really trying to make part of my practice and through this and through other things is to not forget that baseline is not a no pain day. Like, baseline is pain. And so a no pain day is a victorious day. Whew. Emotions make us who we are. It's good to feel. Yes, Jennifer. Good morning, Dana. Dana says, I too have been very emotional from returning from the burn. I've talked to a number of people that are experiencing this kind of intensity of emotion and a lot of tears. Michael says that my TED Talk about my grandfather popped up on his YouTube. If you have not seen my TEDx, search Stin TEDx and try to watch the one that's in the Hug Nation channel because some other people have reposted it. Or you can do Hug Nation TEDx. That's probably the best way. Hug Nation TEDx into Google and you'll find it's one of my proudest moments, talking about Grandpa, showing pictures of him with Martin Luther King Jr. And yeah, I think it really touches on so many of the things that are part of my daily practice and this practice, really. Thanks, Michael. Juan says, when the pain is hard, then you know the love was real. Jennifer says, do you think the dreams have something to do with burning sober? Maybe. That's a great question. And I try to be clear when I say my version of sobriety. I talked to some people who are sober or California sober, their version of sobriety, and with talking to people about the challenge of staying sober because I know I just read an article from a friend who wrote about being kicked out of or ostracized from an AA community because they tried ketamine therapy. And ketamine is one of my no-nos. It was one of the most problematic chemicals. But, for example, psychedelics are I believe that I can use them occasionally and with intention and do not fall into my problematic behaviors of, habitual numbing, escaping, the things that the daily use things. So I did not have a sober burn in some people's definition. I did experience. Well, I'm not going to catalog the different chemicals. Like I had caffeine almost every day. In fact, pretty large amounts of caffeine, which is one of the reasons why I've been trying to detox and made it hard. But I also allegedly did LSD, and allegedly had a beautiful experience, very social experience. It was really wonderful. So my sober burn was within the confines of my healthy sobriety. But just to be clear, like, I guess it feels like it matters for me to say, like, yeah, totally, that could affect my sober. But I think it does affect the way that I remember dreams compared to how I used to sometimes wake and have no memory of dreams. Chris says, grateful for the ocean view. Claudia says, I'm still trying to wake up from the nightmare that Burning Man is a place where citizens purposely stole my locked bike that was a special memorial to my beloved Tim. I really want to wake up from his nightmare. My heart is broken to pieces. How don't I wake up from the nightmare? Well, I can't change your experience, but I can say that I can suggest that you reevaluate the wording and the story behind it, because you're saying the citizens of Burning Man, stole your locked bike, and I would guess that people preying on the citizens of Burning Man stole your locked bike. That people know that Burning Man is a trusting community, so there are people that know that for the price of $500 and a rental truck and that they can steal many bicycles. And so there are people that prey on the community, people that go in and steal as many e-bikes as they can, and for the cost of a ticket and a parking pass and an empty rental truck. And they try to keep people from doing that, and they stop some people from doing that. But it is enough of a problem that people talk about it. So you've been preyed upon by a criminal. And that is also a nightmare, but the story doesn't have to be connected to the citizens of Black Rock City and the meaningfulness of that bicycle. And that you did still have a intention of, and you still, and if that whole experience is too clouded by negativity, you can maybe have your own temple burn, free from the connection to the criminal experience that you had, which is super traumatic. I'm not discounting that. Being, having your trust and faith wrecked is tough. But there's some relation to the optimism tax, which is that you can come to conclusions after bad things happening that are quite expensive. Like, it sounds like you have the conclusion that burners suck, and that people won't respect your sacred efforts, or whatever the feelings and the conclusions that your story has. And you can make a case that those are true, and you can also try to let go and focus more on the story. Like, there are amazing burners out there. There are, let's say there's 65,000 people out there. There was 60,000 incredible humans, and every once in a while you're going to have a bike stolen, and if you can just accept that that's part of Burning Man, it's part of the ticket. You buy a ticket, and it's the ticket cost and the risk that you could be taken advantage of by someone who is out there preying on burners. And in exchange for that, you get to continue believing and knowing that there are beautiful people out there that would do almost anything to help and gift. And the value of that is priceless. Whatever you're feeling is correct and right, and I don't mean to be critical, but since you asked how to wake from the nightmare, I would say that there's is trying on some different ways to tell the story in your head that allow for fewer villains and more heroes. I'm so sorry that you had that a villain was such a pronounced character in your story recently. I'm sorry. Corey says, it's a bit of a cliche, but at this moment, I am grateful to be alive. Nothing wrong with that. Corey says, thoughts on ayahuasca? It's, you mean in reference to my list of no-nos, or ayahuasca is on my list of plant medicines that are within my healing journey. I have been acquainted with that plant medicine for over 15 years, and I have witnessed beautiful transformations in people. Not everyone. It's not like a magic bullet. But yeah, I'm a believer in plant medicine as a healing tool for people that are genuinely on paths of self-discovery and healing and trauma work. I think it can be really powerful. It's not automatic. Like, you can't say, oh, I can't let go of this trauma, so can you give me a pill? Can you give me an ayahuasca journey to make it go away? not quite like that, but can be a beautiful part of healing. Just like therapy is, just like so many things can be. Jennifer says, I lead a mostly sober life, but on Playa, I live it up. Good morning. Good to see you, Gerbot. Hey, Pupton. Pupton says, I'm grateful for Burning Man. My first burn was amazing. It has given me so much inspiration and clarity. Plus, I got to perform my puppet show at 3 camps. Good for you. Way to give your gifts. Beautiful. So I don't want to get too deep, but Claudia, you said that the org talks about decommodification, but by staying silent and allowing the stuff to happen. I'm not sure what you think allowing theft to happen means. There's it's not like there's anyone at the org that's in cahoots trying to make sure that people can keep their bikes. I don't think anyone at the org is pro bike theft. There's huge amounts of efforts being taken at Burning Man, and decommodification. Theft is in a whole different category. Decommodification is generally about the more subtle ways that our transactional world can poison Burning Man. Theft is problematic even in default world. Theft is not accepted in any society that has a social contract. So Burning Man, it's continually a thing that people get so upset about. Like, well, we're trying to operate this level of decommodification, and yet there are people that are still not only not doing decommodification, they are practicing, taking, not just gifting, taking. But nothing in Burning Man or the organizers or the org supports that or defends that. If you want to have your faith restored, go look at the lost and found page and just how many things were lost, how many phones were lost, how many bags were lost. They pictures of them. You can see how many were lost and were turned in. And there's volunteers that their burn is done and they go back to San Francisco. Volunteers, they're not getting paid. They're taking pictures, they're cataloging, and they're trying to reunite people with their things. Now, if you have ideas of how, the taking, the criminality can be dealt with better, then there are lots of ongoing conversations and people you can reach out to. But it is, I think it can come down to a optimism tax, and what would you pay to be able to see the beauty in human beings? If it took you 10 therapy sessions and suddenly you could see how beautiful people were. What's a therapy session cost? $150, $200? What's an e-bike cost? If you can say, hey, every once in a while I have to pay the optimism tax, and if I can just say there is an element of this world of people that take, and if I can change my narrative to every once in a while I have to pay the tax to that tax collector, and what I get in exchange is I get to continue seeing the beauty in people. Depending on your head state, you might think that is you might even think that is insulting of me to say, but try it on every once in a while when you feel wronged and see if, would I rather be right or would I rather be happy? Is there something I can let go of that would give me a peace that is priceless? Claudia is grateful to be alive as well. Grandpa says, grateful to keep the after party going at Sierra Hot Springs. That sounds like it was a good time. Was there other people there, other burners? Also, Grandpa is grateful that the bear fire is not threatening the springs here. Oh, you're here there now. Awesome. Hello, Lex. Lex says, I am grateful for the power of choice and forgiveness. I've been watching the Newsroom, I think is the show, an Alan Sorkin show. And one of the themes there is forgiveness. And there's people that work together and they had a bad episode, and the character, against his desires, starts going to therapy. And one of the issues that he's talking about in therapy is like, I know intellectually I need to forgive, but I can't. And what just happened in the episode I watched, he goes, that's because you weren't, what did it say, that it's because it's not that you were whatever broken up with, or it's that you were betrayed. And they've been talking about how that is a whole different level. And depending on your traumas and your background and how your parents did things that affected you, different acts can be deeper wounds. If you are dealing with a pain from abandonment of a parent, and that can look like many different things. It's how we experience it as a child. Maybe your parent worked too much and you felt they weren't there for you, and so you have a abandonment trauma in you. And then to be abandoned or betrayed, then that hits in a way that is, magnified in a way that might not even make sense to someone next to you. Like, it's not that big a deal. Like, well, according to your grooves, you are feeling it in a way that is very, very intense. Everybody's saying lots of great insight this morning. I feel like we've touched on some big stuff from painful rectums to betrayal by our community to the optimism tax. Lots of good stuff. So thank you for everyone sharing their truth and their pain and their gratitude as kind of stopping points on this exploration of gratitude and connection. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Any last gratitudes before we have a hug and go off into our days? Your butt says it's pretty much all burners at the hot springs right now. Well, please say Halcyon sends his hellos and wishes he was submerged in glorious liquid with you. Although, tell them not to worry. My hemorrhoid is feeling much better. You are so welcome, Jennifer. And thanks for being present for my tears, for making me feel accepted and non-judged. I can't tell you what that is like in my life. I can remember in elementary school, I was probably in second grade, and being called a crybaby. And I think I was in the office, and I think they told me, someone in the office, it could have been a friend or it could have been someone in the office, they said, like, dude, you can't cry like that in public. Like, people are gonna tease you. And I was like, what? Like, I cry all the time. And I remember, like, zip it up. Like, you cannot let the tears loose every time that you're upset. Because I did used to cry a lot. And as an adult, I cry again. And I still, I have these moments where I'm like the second of like, I can feel it. Do I suppress it? Because sometimes it's like this is, I don't think anyone else is going to cry at this part in the movie, like in public. Like, am I okay with people like going, oh my gosh, I guy's crying right now. I 2 days ago I watched Furiosa, the Mad Max movie, and I was crying. There's a time when he's talking about war and that just like war is ever present. And this is a violent movie. It is not a tearjerker. And I'm like, I started crying. It, and I was like, I bet if I saw this in the theater, I would be the only one crying right now. But I feel so grateful. My partner she almost encouraged. She always makes me feel so loved. She always says like, I love your heart. And it is such a beautiful shift of a cultural thing of like, I don't need to be embarrassed. In fact, I feel extra compassion and love when I just let my heart open. And I feel proud that I live in a way where my heart is so open. But it takes trust. So I appreciate the trust that I feel from you and in here. So thank you. All right. Well, I am so glad. Lisa, Jennifer says, Lisa is amazing. I'm so glad that you have her. I know, right? She's about to leave town to go lead a choir in Monterey. She has a choir that she flies up and they practice. And they've got a performance coming in a month or two, but it's really beautiful to witness her practicing, and so glad that I got to spend this week with her. And now she's gonna go for a few days, and I will get a chance to miss her and let my heart grow fonder. Well, it is so hard to say goodbye sometimes, but I'm grateful. I'm so grateful for the reminders and the gratitudes and the being able to witness and feel and experience you on your journey, whether you are recouping and reconnecting in hot springs. May we all feel a little bit of that deep soul nourishment from you, Gerbot. And that we all feel some compassion for Claudia's pain and for Michael's grief. And may we all know that we have the capacity to continually try to hold the joy and the pain, to try to recognize that the human experience is not the fleeing from struggle, not the hedonistic focus on joy, but it is on holding all of it. And when we struggle, hopefully having community that can lift us up, that can remind us, that can just be present for us as we go through whatever we have to go through. There is no wrong feelings. There is no wrong way to feel. There's no wrong length. There is no... Anything I suggest is not a criticism or just personal reflections. And as we share our authentic, genuine personal reflections, it gives us an amplified awareness beyond our own one human lens into reality and relating. We can say, oh, I see that you're going through that. I see you're going through that. That is similar to something I have felt, or that is unlike anything I've ever experienced. And knowing that all of these human experiences are happening gives me more context, more compassion, more ability to forgive myself and others. Makes it easier to love. I love you. And with that, wherever you are, let's give each other a squeeze. As you squeeze your own body, feel yourself being held by me and everyone here. Feel ourselves sinking into that shared human experience, into that awareness that we're all so much more alike than we are different. So let's take a deep breath and squeeze one another. On behalf of Grandpa Caleb and all of you beautiful love ambassadors, thanks for being here. Have a beautiful day. We try to be here every day at 9 a.m. Pacific for gratitude and connection. And then there's gratitude circles in Zoom at noon and 6 that I am slowly getting back into my schedule. So if you want to join for some face-to-face, we have Zoom calls of gratitude every day as well. And the Facebook decompression post-burn integration has begun with just some daily questions and some dialogues. And I think yesterday we just said, "How you doing?" and really been appreciating the conversation there. I felt I answered the question, and then after people started to share, I felt like, you know what, there's more that I haven't shared. And I talked a little bit about the crying that I've been doing. So if you want to be a part of that, you can search post-burn integration 2024 or send me a message and go, "I can't find the link," or "What's the link?" or "Bro, the link, bro." And I'd be happy to share. I love you. Enjoy this day. Totally, Gerbot. Gratitude for talking.